Hello, everybody. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi coming to you live from Los Angeles, California, as we do every week for the last 5 or 6 years to take your questions about U.S. immigration live. I think we're hitting the 6 month, 6 year mark of doing this show, so that's awesome. Again, we come live to take your questions about U.S. immigration law, not intended as individual legal guidance, just to give you a general idea of the craziness of the immigration system and what it means and potentially what's possible, especially for the cases that we handle. For example, we don't do asylum cases, so I don't like to talk too much about asylum. But if you're doing a marriage case or consular processing, maybe starting a small business in the United States with the E-2 visa, these are the things we like to focus on: EB-1A, extraordinary ability, and some more technical stuff like that. We come by every week on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok on the JQK Law pages. Each of them have their own different name, but if you search JQK Law or John Khosravi, you find it. Two notes, we have two guides that are really helpful. One of them is called the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, and you could download that free, 70 plus pages of guidance and just ideas about how the system works before you talk with an immigration attorney. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com. The website again is marriageimmigrationlaw.com to download that. We also have the Ultimate Naturalization Citizenship Guide. You could download that one at jqklaw.com/citizenship. That's jqklaw.com/citizenship. That's the place to go to check out that guide, the Ultimate Naturalization Citizenship Guide. Then again, a lot of information about the process there, get you understanding before I even talk with an immigration attorney. Speaking about citizenship, I just had a call with a client today who had moved, and they asked for the next step of their case. Could you recommend a lawyer that's local to us? And I know a colleague that's in another city that they're really famous to do well. So I said, okay, go with them for finish off your case. And this and that. So we had a call right now before this, and they were just really unhappy. They're like, yeah, we gave them all the stuff for the case, months ago, last fall, and they just filed the case today. I'm like, your case should have been filed in like 3 days or at most a week or two. And they knew that we're so fast and on top of it, we're not going to diddly that along and wait, I don't know, 6 months to file a case that should have been done in 6 days. So they're really happy. And if you check out our reviews, if you go to Google, type in JQK Law, I guess the number one thing will be how responsive we are and how quickly we move. So to help you differentiate who you're working with and what's important. A lot of times speed is really important. People don't sit down and forget your case, and they're there to take your calls and your messages. Your emails primarily is the best way to communicate because it's in writing, so there's records. We like that a lot. And that's the kind of service that we have it's our priority. All right, let's answer some questions really quick because we got it coming in. We have a question from Salman asking, how long is the asylum pause going to continue? Thanks. Well, you're welcome. I wish I had better news, but President Trump thinks he wants to take it away. So it's all at the whim of the executive branch, primarily the president, Department of Security. So we have no big way to say how long it's going to be. Now, they're going to sue. There's lawsuits pending on this stuff. Maybe judges will change it. But the Trump administration has not been listening to a lot of the court decisions, federal court decisions that have been coming. So how long, whether it's asylum pause or other USCIS pauses or travel bans, nobody has any idea. It's all going to be inevitably up to what the administration in power wants it to last, how long they want it to last. Zach asks, if he loses the midterms president, will they reverse that? No, it doesn't matter. If Congress starts passing laws to undo what the president's doing, maybe they could push back. It'll be first of all, Congress is just the week they gave up on the powers many years ago, just political science-wise, they can't do anything. They don't want to do anything. But even if they do, it'll be a constitutional issue and they'll go to the court. So who knows what's going to happen. It's not really reliable on the midterms doing things. Saj asks, how is removal conditions in the state of Texas? If you have a good case, it's good. If you have a bad case, it's bad. It doesn't really matter if it's Texas or not Texas. And you just ask your question once, Saj. You need to ask this 6 times back to back. If you ask again, unfortunately, I have to kick you out the feed. But for those joining us right now, feel free to ask your questions about U.S. immigration law. We come in every week to answer a general question about this stuff. Removal conditions, for those who don't know, is for cases where you got your marriage-based green card based on a marriage is relatively new. So if your green card is issued and your marriage is less than 2 years old, then the green card they'll give you will only be valid for 2 years. So that before it expires, you have to do renewal. And the renewal of that is called removal of conditions. So you can send evidence of your relationship from I-751 and to show that you're really in a relationship and that relationship continued. And so they could approve it. Now, if you get divorced and stuff, that'll still allow you to stay. You just got to work on the case and be able to prove your marriage is real. But that's still doable. The other thing that I want you to be mindful of is that there is another case called removal of conditions. and that has to do with people who did the EB-5 immigrant investor program. They also have removal conditions, but the focus here is on the marriage type cases. If you haven't already, please like wherever you're watching this, like and comment or share. That's and all that. Like, subscribe, share the feed, especially on TikTok, so people know we're here to answer questions. Syed asks, how are you? How are you? I'm good, thank you. How long does it take for I-751? Well, anywhere from 6 months to 3 years is the average time. Mostly like 2 or 3 years is the average for I-751. We do get him. The range is 6 months to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, but most of them, if you don't file for citizenship naturalization while it's pending, which will speed it up, it's really 2 to 3 years. How long it's going to be for naturalization. Noor, thank you so much. Just got the #1 viewer badge. Thanks for joining us again. I appreciate that. And whoever's joining, feel free to ask questions about U.S. immigration law. Just type in your questions, and we'll see what we can do. Unfortunately, TikTok has changed a lot. I used to give my feed to thousands of people, really busy live show, but the algorithm changes have really hit me really hard. So that's why I really appreciate if you like and subscribe and share. It'll help it out. Side asks, like in 6 months, they approve it or give interview with full evidence. It could be anything. It could be approved in 6 months without interview. It could call you in for interview. All this possible. Bizzo asks, news for visa pause for I-130. There's no news. If you're part of the memo that pauses USCIS cases, including the I-130, you're paused unless, on a case-by-case basis, different things can happen. But generally, it's paused. Gelix asks, some sent in our RFE yesterday for a different joint sponsor. What should we expect? If you sent a clean case in and everything is fine, then most likely your case will move forward. If it was badly done or incorrectly done, then you may get denied. That's I haven't reviewed your case. I really can't say. Nuras, how long does the K1 process take? So the K1 process depends on where you're talking about. A K1 is a fiancé visa, and the first step of the fiancé visa is Form I-129F. This is with USCIS. That takes anywhere from 7 months to 18 months on average. There's a range there. They've got a little faster. If you're from a travel ban memo country, then the case is just going to pause. Let's say you're not. And then once that's approved, it goes to the embassy system for an interview. Now, how long that takes depends on which embassy you're handling and how busy they are and how much they schedule things, and if you're subject to a travel ban. So if you're in England, it might take 2 months to get an interview at that point. If you're from Mexico, it take 6 months to 2 years, for example, to get it. So it varies again depending on where you are. And then after the visa is issued, how long will it take the visa to be issued after your interview? Again, it depends on a variety of factors. It could be a day, it could be a year or longer. Then you get the visa, you come to the United States, and then there's more delays there because you have to get married and do adjustment of status. And because of that extra step of doing adjustment of status in the United States and probably an interview, we normally don't recommend K1s unless there's a unique case where you'd recommend it. Someone asks, are asylum seekers in danger of deportation in this pause period? If you're at a status, you are in danger, unfortunately, of being detained and put into removal proceedings. So deportation is a process. Unfortunately, yeah, if you don't have status in the U.S. under Trump administration, anybody has, even if they have a case pending, is under the threat of being detained. Syed asks, follows up. He's getting a lot of kind of detail, too detailed, but joint tax returns, baby's birth certificate, and all joint documents. Good. Well, that's a solid case. That's good, but it really depends on the bureaucracy, how long it's going to take. Panda says, renewed my license. They gave it to me for 1 year because my conditional green card expires in a year. How will I renew next year? So when you file for I-751 removal conditions, the receipt notice that comes with it says it's an automatic extension for 4 years, 48 months. So you could use that to get the driver's license renewed, showing out a renewal. Now, the driver's department, DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, in California, that's what we call it. They'll connect with the USCIS Save system to read it. Sometimes there's a glitch in that system that won't see it, but you got to do your best and just take the receipt notice. That is also an extension notice. Zubair says, good evening, sir. Good evening to you as well. Thanks for joining our live show on Instagram. We got a couple of people there. Feel free to ask questions, but as well as on YouTube and on TikTok. Zubair asks, what is the F2A waiting time? So F2A is the subcategory for spouses and minor unmarried children of green card holders. So there's a timeline. If you're outside the United States, first you submit a Form I-130 petition to show the relationship is real. That right now is taking 2 or 3 years on average to get approved. And then once that's approved, then you work with the embassy system to get an interview. And then from there to schedule an interview and then to be approved. Based on your name, Zubair, I'm guessing you're from Pakistan because we have a lot of Pakistani clients with a similar name, or Middle Eastern. Probably it's going to take, if you're not travel banned or not subject to 75 country pause or the USCIS memo pause or anything like that, it's going to take a year or two to get an embassy appointment. And then, for example, if you are from Pakistan, they're going to refuse your case because it's part of travel ban right now. So how long is it going to take? F2A preference category. From England, it might take 3-4 years because the visa bulletin is right now in 2024, so it's 2 years backed up. If you're from other countries, it could be endless. There's no end date as to how long it's going to take. However, if you're within the states, it's not much better. First, you submit your I-130 petition to get a priority date, and then you submit your adjustment of status. It's all over the place. Like I have one where we submit adjustment status. They did the interview too, and it's been 4 or 5 months. They still haven't approved it. So in F2A, it's a huge mess how long it'll actually take to be approved. But you're easily looking at 2 to 3 years minimum if you're not from a travel ban or travel pause memo country. So I'm within the United States. My spouse is an F1 and would like to do F2A. So a spouse in F1, that means they're adult, unmarried child of U.S. citizen and like to switch to F2A. It's possible. You just got to submit the I-130. You got to do the whole case. So in that kind of case, I'd recommend scheduling a consultation and really analyze, strategize what the best situation is and discuss it more what issues exist about their status in the United States. I think you said F1, maybe you're a student visa holder. So it's very sensitive. I'm actually submitting a case like this. I just got hired by a client to do this kind of case today. But, go download our guide first, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com, download that. But as soon as you download that, go to our website and schedule a private consultation. Fees do apply, but we'll email you with that information. Go to jqqlaw.com/contact. If you go there, I'm going to send you, just explain your situation. I'll send you a copy of the guide so we get it anyway. So to go to jqqlaw.com/contact, let's have a video chat with you and your spouse about it. Because strategically, there's a lot of things you have to be aware of and think about strategy long-term about dealing with that particular kind of case, as well as discussing what has happened. Because your spouse here on an F1 student visa, they fill out a form DS-160. In that form, we got asked, did you answer the questions properly? For example, it asks, do you have a petition pending for you? They probably did. If you said no, that could be considered misrepresentation or fraud. They'll ask, do you have family members in the United States? Sometimes people don't fill it out themselves. Their travel agent does, their friend does, and they don't list that they have family members in the United States. And then, they get hit with misrepresentation or fraud. So we got to talk about a lot of the different things, how long they're going to maintain their F1, when is their OPT going to start, have they had violations? Because when you're adjusting status based on married to a U.S. citizen, they forgive a lot of the immigration violations people potentially might do. But if you're married to a green card holder, you have to have perfect immigration history to be able to adjust status. If you overstayed a visa once 10 years ago, you're not allowed to adjust status. If you had certain violations, employment violations, working with authorization, for example, you can't adjust status because that's a violation. They'll kick you out. So, for example, we've had it where people who were in school, F1 student, they got summer school, summer work, CPT, which is allowed, but the CPT was only from let's say April till August. And then they worked until September because they didn't realize there was an end date. That's a violation right there. That prevents adjustment of status based on marriage to a green card holder. It'd be forgiven for a citizen, but not for a green card holder. Or they did this violation, left the United States, filed for a new visa, came back in. In that application, asked, did you ever violate your visa status? It said no, but they in fact did. That's misrepresentation or fraud at the embassy. See, they'll get you. They'll get you on this stuff. People aren't aware of it. Most immigration lawyers, frankly, aren't aware of it because I talk to people. They don't go into details, nitty gritty. Sometimes it's like, close my eyes and see it's okay, but we can't mess around with that, especially under this administration. We have to get in deep and analyze your case to see where potential inadmissibility, where potential violations occurred, and how to deal with that accordingly and prepare ahead of time. Because the last thing you need is get a denial and get blindsided by something that you didn't expect. So we spend a lot of time analyzing these cases. We'll catch more stuff than the average. That's our job. Hopefully, there's nothing to catch. That's the goal. But there is. It's better to know than not to know, than wait for USCIS to give you a hearing date to go to immigration court. That's the last thing we want to do. Zubar, thanks so much. Appreciate your welcome. God bless. 57 DHA says, how long is the IR1 case taking? My case closed in October 2024. I'm still waiting my appointment. They're much faster. They're almost done. IR1s are done. That's spouse of U.S. citizen kind of case. But, I don't know your case and stuff like that. So we got to see what's going on and take it from there. Please schedule a consultation. But I don't have any cases for 2024 pending. Almost all my cases right now are getting done in 2 to 4 months. What do you mean badly done? Gilix asked. Gilix, badly done, Gilix, means like you didn't fill out the I-485. When people do their own immigration cases, the form I-864 is an affidavit of support. You're telling the government that I bring this family member in, spouse, parent, brother, sister, whoever, and I'm financially able to support them. Here's this form I'm going to fill out, form I-864, and here's the evidence for it. My tax returns, my dollar amounts for the last 3 years, my pay stubs, W-2s. When people do this form on their own, the form, it's not too complicated when you know what you're doing, but it's such a badly written and designed form that like it confuses people. They mess up. So if you got an RFE for it, you got one try to fix it. If you're sending an RFE response, if you didn't fix things properly and put it on properly, they're going to deny your case. I haven't reviewed your background, the paperwork, the joint sponsor, all this stuff. I haven't reviewed a copy of your submission, so I can't say it's okay, it's clean. And government sometimes messes it up. You do a perfect case, they'll still deny you by accident. So you got to fight with them about it. That does happen a lot. But nonetheless, if so, I can't vouch to say okay, you're good because I don't know if you did a good job. I haven't reviewed your paperwork. Panda says, or answer your question, Panda. Newer, thanks for following. Eduardo says, is there still a backlog with SIGIS processing? There is, but we don't handle SIGIS cases at our firm, so I don't want to discuss it too much. Panda says, what about work? Panda works the same thing. So if you have a green card expiring because it's a 2-year green card, a conditional green card, and you file for removal conditions, you'll get a receipt notice that gives you a 48-month extension of your green card. You could use that for the DMV. You could use it for work as evidence of work authorization. You could use it for travel purposes and anything else that needs to show that you're a green card holder that can be used for. So they keep that receipt. The original is very important to have. And sometimes employers don't understand it, but if you go to USCIS website, it explains. You print that out or have them look. That it says the receipt notice acts as an extension along with the expired green card, your social security card, your ID and stuff. That should be okay. 57 DHA says, should I submit an inquiry form? If I can't recommend people do anything because I'm not your lawyer, so I can't give recommendations here. We should first of all just to see if they allow you to submit inquiry, because they're sometimes say you have to wait like 2 years or something like that. But I wouldn't want to move a case forward and say do submit inquiry, because you may have made an error or have other issues that's problematic. And by submitting that inquiry, they might come back and have problems. So I don't want you to do that until we like review everything in your case, so I can see if there's one major issue here. I really don't want you to contact the government until we prepare a response for it, or if we can, so avaid you just getting denied or notice of intent to deny or RFE or getting scheduled for immigration court. So that's why you can't say do this or do that here, because I haven't reviewed your whole case. So I need to make sure there's no other issues I didn't expect that pop out. We want to see what it is and be prepared for it before you talk to government. So that's enough. If it was perfectly clean, yeah, submit it. But I don't know, because I haven't reviewed your case, so I can't really say. Bright, hello, thank you so much. You got the number 3 viewer badge. Appreciate it. Eduardo, thank you. Gelix asks, what's the time span to get updates after sending an RFE? There's no time span. It could be a day. It could be years. Johnny Matson says, any updates on 39 country pause? Nope, nothing. All still bad. No changes. Do you think the pause will be lifted soon, sir? Life Changer says, that's not up to me. That's up to the government and President Trump. So no one knows except for whatever President Trump wakes up and feels like today. You're welcome, 57DHA. What I think or what I do doesn't make the same thing. Jeffrey says, how does an aggravated assault charge affect a green card holder? It could be a major problem, but we got to see what the conviction actually says, what the court record actually says, what the final conviction was. So, it's not good, but it depends on what the charges are. Criminal immigration law, crimmigration for short, is very technical and depends on what state you are, what statute you were arrested under, what the federal rules are in your jurisdiction. So it's a multi-hours of research and analysis for a case like that to see what the problems are and if we can fix it. Tammy says, how long does the medical last within the United States? I think they updated it where it doesn't expire if it's, if it's signed by a doctor of a certain date. But you can look on, type in USCIS I-693 validity, and the USCIS.gov website for the rules will come. Gilliam and Farsi ask, fiancé visa with residency in Germany, Iranian passport, what's going on? You're subject to a ban because you're Iranian passport. So the various bans. First of all, they won't move your case forward in the I-129F. In the embassy, if they schedule an interview, they're going to refuse your case. So everything's paused, Gilliam. It's just not moving forward. I'm answering in English because it's an English language show, but schedule a consultation if you like. We talk in private. Panda says, will it be the same with work too, the 48-month extension? Yeah, everything. Jeffrey says, applying for citizenship. Jeffrey, I don't remember what your previous question was. Okay, so Jeffrey, you definitely need to have a private consultation with the attorney that handles immigration cases before you do something like that. They have to spend time doing the analysis. You need to get your court record, conviction record, arrest record, FBI background check, state background check, have as much paperwork as possible. You also need to show that you're a good person, things gotten better. There's a lot of work regarding your case. Even if the conviction itself is okay, they could deny you based on bad moral character. So you have a serious immigration case that needs a lot of work. Gilliam asks میشه لطفا فارسی بگی. She asks can we say فارسی. So I'll say in short کیستون جلو نمیره متاسفانه به خاطر پاز و بنایی که وجود داره بس آقای ترامپ رئیس جمهور کیستون ایست میکنه هیچ کار نمیکنه یا اینکه اگه زمان مصاحبه است مصاحبه قبول نمیکنن شما رو ولی بهترین کار اینه که زمانی برای مشاوره بزنن که صحبت کامل انجام بدیم. Ross asks is this correct that Iranian cannot apply for citizenship? They can apply a green card holder who's Iranian can apply for citizenship for M400, but they're going to sit on the case right now unless they change things. They won't make a decision on it. Or if you had an oath ceremony scheduled, they're going to undo it or something like that. They just cancel the oath ceremony. CJS had to report my spouse for fraud after 1 month of marriage. Find out a scam. Next steps. CJ, we don't specialize or help with that kind of stuff, so I can't advise. Panda Bar, answer your question. Tarek asks, as an F1 student visa holder, I'm in the very beginning of my time on OPT. As an F2A category, I recently applied for I-485 and done my biometrics as well. If I'm using my AOS EAD for working, is it going to be a problem? I believe under my interpretation, using the EAD from adjustment of status will invalidate your F1 status. By itself, it's not supposed to be an issue if you follow the proper form I-485 because you're in a period of authorized stay. I don't recommend it, though. I recommend keeping your regular OPT and your F1 valid as long as possible in case your I-485 is denied for some reason. You have at least a backup status to fall back on. Handy G says, how long is the I-751 taking? I see fast approvals for 2025. File cases, what is your experience? Yeah, we have some cases approved after 4, 5, 6 months, and some cases after 3 years. So it varies, and there's no rhyme or reason to it to say do this or do that. You just got to send your case in. Mohammed asks, does immigration even exist under Trump? It's jokingly says that it is to a certain extent. We are getting approvals. We got approved for an African case today. A gentleman from I don't want to say the country from continental Africa had his adjustment of status green card case approved. This morning we had a person from Canada whose interview went well. They're going to get approved. Last week we had a Australian citizen. So Canada, Australia, that looks good. But even it was an African case. Not our African case will move forward, but we are getting green cards. And I had an L1A petition approved for a Russian national at the embassy where he's dealing with headaches right now to get the visa. So a lot going on there. Jeff says not arrested. I'm not sure how you got aggravated felony not arrested. Maybe you got charges. We got to see what's going on. In certain contexts, for example, in California, even if you're arrested, I'm not a specialist, so I might not be 100% correct, so consult with an attorney, but if you're arrested for domestic violence with a weapon, then potentially it could be an inadmissibility issue. So, and under the Trump administration, if you're arrested, they might sometimes try to deport you, and they're trying to pass. It's a very crazy situation. I'm not a criminal immigration specialist, so I wouldn't even say schedule consultation with me, but you got to be very careful about the situation, and definitely get all the background checks possible. Mohammed says, Muafaq, bless you. Thank you so much. You too as well. It means I hope you wish your success. God bless you. Thank you. Ross says, we answered your question. Henny says, are the 75 countries banned affected with their inside application like I-75 and F-400? No. The 75 country ban is specific for immigrant visas, green card cases through the U.S. Embassy. It doesn't apply for the I-75 on removal conditions for marriage-based green cards or citizenship cases. However, there is a pause, a USCIS memo that says there's a pause based on the trial ban countries. 39 countries will apply for it. So you can submit these cases, but they won't approve them. This could be Iran, it could be Venezuela, so countries like that, but not the 75 country larger list. Jeff says, do you know any criminal immigration lawyers? Criminal immigration lawyers, to say, not criminal immigration lawyers. So there's an attorney in San Diego. He's part of a larger, very famous firm that's based in Florida. Gentleman's name is Kevin A. Gregg. I would look that up. Kevin A. There's 2 Kevin Greggs. Well, other Kevin Greggs good too, but Kevin A. Gregg is a specific one, and Gregg is with 2 G's at the end of it. He's part of the Kurzban law firm partner there. Raman asks, I was divorced. How long do I have to wait for getting married again? That's a family law question. You should, schedule a consultation with a family law attorney in your state. Raman Kara, thank you. You got a badge, number 3 viewer. Kier Beers says, where are you based? And I'm in Los Angeles, but our location doesn't matter for most immigration cases because we file everything by mail or upload online. So our location doesn't matter. Someone says, does being under asylee interview pending will safety provided from deportation? No. There are people who have interview pending or done the interview and they're still getting picked up even without a decision. Also, our EADs pause indefinitely. If you're from a travel ban country, most likely they will. But who knows? They might still. Actually, the C8 employment authorization document, EAD work permit, is an exception to the pause memo, but they might just lag it. So I'm not sure exactly how to handle this stuff. It's all very new, but technically it doesn't fall within. That's one of the few exceptions to the pause. All right, that time flew by. We're 24 minutes in. We have a couple more minutes left in our live show today. If you have questions about U.S. immigration law, feel free to shout them on here. We'll see what we can do. I think I've been talking a lot, so my throat's starting to give away. And so I'll see how long I can go. This has been a harsh winter this year of really getting people. It got me a couple times with the sicknesses and the colds. You're welcome, honey. Tarek follows up. How long will it take now on average to get a green card approved in F2A category and getting RFE delay? How long F2A? 2 to 6 years on average if you're not part of the memo. And getting RFE can delay my EAD and final case for processing. Of course, RFE could delay it. Yeah. Brewa asks, is fiancé visa stopped if you're from a certain memo pause or travel ban country? Potentially it's stopped or paused some part of the process. Rahman follows up. The person I plan to marry is an asylum seeker. I am a U.S. citizen. How long does that case take? Well, the length of it depends on where they are, how they enter the United States, their background. So let's say they're just on a tourist visa. That could be done in 2 or 3 months. But an asylum seeker, did they enter lawfully or not? Are they in status or not? Are they in removal proceedings or not? Do they have any arrest history, admissibility issues, fraud or misrepresentation issues? Do they have any health issues that's problematic? So it's not clear cut to say it's this much. Even if I know all that information, it's up to the government how long it's going to take. So you can see a case where 9 out of 10 or 99 out of 100 cases are getting done in 3 or 4 months. One of them just goes longer. So really it's best to have a private consultation, Rama. Please schedule a time to go to jqklaw.com/contact and schedule a private consultation with your spouse. We do a video consult, really get into it. Bruas, the fiancé visa question was for Iraq. Is this paused? I think Iraq is part of some of the bans, so it's going to be paused somewhere. I don't think they're part of the memo, but I haven't checked the right proclamation, 1080 proclamation. I can't remember about Iraq in particular. I had an Iraqi case last February we got approved, but I haven't had an Iraqi case, so it wasn't on my eye. There's so many countries in these different bans that that I don't memorize all of them because there's so many different bans in so many different countries, and I don't handle Iraq cases. I'm trying to look it up right now. We'll see if I can figure it out. But let's see. Control F, Iraq. Yeah, Iraq is part of the ban. Yeah, so they're going to be suspension on that case. You can submit the case, but either pause or they'll schedule an interview and refuse you if you're at the embassy stage already. The Cyber Queen says if you're from a travel... Now, mind you, this is... yeah, Iraq's on a full pause. There's this potential loophole where if you do a fiancé visa, which is a non-immigrant visa, it doesn't come under one of the immigrant visa bans, but that's a whole different situation right there. But it seems like Iraq is under... I'm sorry, it's Iran. So I was looking... I did Control F, IRA. I forgot. I didn't do Q. So don't quote me on this. With regard to Iraq, bro, I need to check. So please schedule consultation. I don't want to give you offhand stuff. I need to look this up because I haven't had an Iraqi case in a year to need to look this up. But if you want detailed information on that, I got to schedule a consultation, talk with you in private. The Cyber Queen says, if you are from a travel ban country and you have marriage-based interview, will you get a decision? It depends. If you do adjustment of status, they're going to sit on it. If you're doing constant processing, they'll probably review it or refuse it. Tommy says, when you have a work permit and during that time in the States you marry, how do you apply for a green card? I'm assuming you're going to say, well, it depends. Having a work permit doesn't mean anything for immigration. People that are illegally here could get work permits depending on their background. So we got to see what your situation is, who you're marrying is, how everything works out. Please schedule a private consultation. Download our guide, Tommy Lee. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Again, the website is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. Look at that, but schedule a private consultation. Habibi says, after how many days for applying for adjustment of status for K1? How many, you saying, let's say you're on a fiancé visa, you enter the United States, and you get married, you file for adjustment of status. How long does it take? It depends on your local field office. It could be 2 months. It could be 2 years. Really, it depends. Cyber Queen says, are those effective in the U.S. too if you're a travel ban country? Yeah, they're going to be effective too based on the USCIS memo that was issued January 1st. Tommy says, when you have a work permit and during that time you marry, how do you apply for a green card? We got to answer that question. Javi says, after how many days for applying for AOS for K1? I mean, you have 90 days to get married from that time. If you get married after that time, you still get a green card based on marriage to the same spouse, but you got to do an I-130 with it. Tommy, you're welcome. Josh says, will marrying my fiance is detain my ICE help for the bond? We have a bond hearing at Atlanta. I don't handle bond cases, so I don't want to advise something I don't handle. Javi says, how much are the fees for A to Z? Schedule a private consultation. We'll look into your case and discuss it then. Go to jqklaw.com/contact. There is a consultation fee, but again, go to jqklaw.com/contact. It depends on your case. It varies. Some people have easier cases, put it lightly. Some people have more complicated, and clients don't know what an easy case is. For example, we have it all the time. Just had it today. Pretty much 20 to 30% of our clients, their birth certificates have errors in them, or they don't have much evidence of their relationship, or they lost their previous immigration paperwork. What we need, so they have to do a Freedom of Information Act request, wait 2 months, review a 500-page file to see what's going on. There's a myriad of things that could cause fees. You might need a joint sponsor. You might have certain health issues that require a waiver. You might have, arrest history in the past that we need to explain. You might have other issues that we need to spend more time figuring out. So there's no A to Z. This isn't like buying like an orange or something like that. Each person, people on oranges or apples, they're people and their lives are different, like their fingerprints. So each one's different. We got to see what you need. I don't want to overcharge you for more service than you need, but I can't undercharge because we're going to go out of business. So we got to find a fit that works for both of us, or at least works for a firm to stay in business. And then you can make a decision from there. Tommy says, if I have anything to ask in the future, can I ask in your DM? No. Schedule a private consultation, and not a DM. This is a law firm. I do this 30 minutes here. People can ask general questions, but it's not a free service that everyone could just DM me kind of thing. You got to schedule a private consultation. Talk says, U.S. citizen, fiance plus consular processing, pause. Can I enter on B2, wait 9 days, married? I can't recommend people commit fraud. And if you enter with a tourist visa with the intent to get married, file for adjustment of status, that's lying at the border about your intent. You're not coming as a tourist, you're coming with a green card. So I can't recommend anyone do that. Architel says, what a DM mean? It means direct message, like private message on one of the apps. And so we don't respond to DMs. You just say, you schedule a consultation. Habib says, TIA, thanks in advance. You're welcome. Tommy says, sure, you're welcome. Arya says, is there any updates on visa suspension countries? Nope. What happens after interview if they don't get a visa? If you're at the embassy, they'll give you a refusal. If you're in the U.S., they'll sit on it. And if you're out of status, they may even pick you up. We don't really know. They're kind of making this stuff as they go along. All right, everybody. I think we're past the 30-minute mark. So thank you for joining. I'm Immigration Lawyer John Khosravi. Thanks for watching. If you want to schedule a private consultation, please go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. Again, that's jqqlaw.com/contact. Schedule a private consultation. So there's fees applied, but we go in detail about your case and spend time on it, and you get a report. In most cases, we can send a report, unless there's no need for a report. I'm breaking down where our thoughts were, so you have in writing. It is a video consultation. We see each other and really just talk. Having said that, God bless, be safe, and I'll see you all next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific and 7 p.m. Eastern on all our various YouTube channels. We have 2 YouTube channels, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. God bless, be safe. I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.